5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
We are back.
It feels strange.
How's your Achilles?
Get in there. Get in there. For those who aren't aware, I had the joys of realising I'm not 20 years old anymore, and what am I now? 4 months, just over 4 months post-op of snapping my Achilles tendon. So it's been an interesting journey on many levels. I've been off work for 3 months and then come back just before Christmas. So yeah, I'm feeling good, thank you. I'm each week or two it's stronger, and I can now fortunately be back on my feet all day. It doesn't swell really that much by the end of the day where it did before. So I'm 4 months into what really is a 12-month game plan. So
you're back, and that's
it. I had 3 months, I wouldn't say away from work, because as you're aware, there's a lot more which goes on behind the scenes than just face to face with patients. So I keep myself very busy, but more busy on the academic side, less on the physical side. So I've never, I don't know about you, but I've never had, that's my biggest injury, certainly one which has needed injury, surgery, healing from the surgery, then recovery, then now rehabilitation. So I'm on the other side of the fence trying to be a patient, but the old thing which we say with patients, you don't get the benefits unless you do the rehab. So I can vouch for that, working with a really good physio. We're on the mend.
I think it's something that is good to chat about life throws curveballs.
But I
always find there's a lesson in whatever we go through. So have you managed to find any lessons?
I've had huge lessons.
Apart from not play paddle.
Yeah.
That helps as well.
I've had the shortest paddle career.
There's 3 people I know of since then, not including you, that have done their Achilles playing paddle.
Yeah, well, in South Africa, paddle is huge, and now I was told afterwards in A&E that as I went in a wheelchair, they went, "Please tell me you haven't been playing paddle." I went like, yeah. And then another one. It's such a regular occurrence, and if paddle continues to grow, you're going to hear more and more of it.
Oh yeah.
It's in my defence, I now know that I had a whole lot of tears in my Achilles from playing loads of sports, but I wasn't aware of it. So there was a weakness there waiting to happen. But if it's going to happen, paddle is going to bring it to the surface, just the nature of the game. So good for the 20-year-olds, but when you're 50 odd and then you think you're 20-year-olds, that's where the problem. But I don't know. Yes, I've thought of it lots of different things, because again, life is also for living. So if someone said, "Well, maybe you shouldn't have been playing," I said, "Well, can I not ride my bike then? Should I be, you don't want to put too many barriers in, and that kind of thing is which I've done all my life, chasing a ball." So yeah, I had lots of things. Because it happened in South Africa, I hugely indebted and valued my family out there, but also my family here for the support. Hugely with patients. It's quite humbling when you suddenly, I'm like you, I'm used to helping people. So I'm used to being on that side of the fence. It's quite humbling when you have to swallow your pride and rely on someone else. And again, I work in preventive healthcare. I had to swallow my pride and be very vulnerable and be at the mercy of a very good surgeon. But I had to trust that he was going to do what he does, and he did. So, yeah, hugely on that. And but one of the overriding things, which looking back, is attitude.
Yeah. Because
I was then suddenly faced with, I can't go for a walk, I can't go and play golf, I can't go ride a bike, I can't do all the physical stuff. So what am I going to do for 3 months? And I didn't want to be I'm sitting at home and ask my wife to make a coffee, do this, do that. I wasn't ill.
Yeah.
I was injured and then recovering. But also I then had assisted travel flying back from South Africa. And I noticed though that if you approach things with a positive attitude and a smile, 90% of the population out there, I'm not talking about people whose job it is, but the general public, they step forward to help you.
Mm-hmm.
If you can see if you've got a chip in your shoulder, you come with negative energy and you're a bit of a grump, people take a step back, obviously. So I realised that a lot of people were happy to help, but the other thing also was to be comfortable to actually say, I can't do this, can you help me?
Mm-hmm.
Which is quite hard to say sometimes when you, as my kids would say, slightly more stubborn, you pride yourself of being independent. So I realized by then saying, especially when you've got crutches and a boot and you're trying to carry bags, you say, excuse me, I need to do this. Can you help me? Again, people step forwards. It's great, but you have to swallow your pride and ask for help, which for this was a very basic thing, and for me very easy because I know that it will heal if I do the right things. But it did remind me of people who have disabilities or some people who have challenges. It is hard to actually have to swallow your pride and say, could you help me? I struggle with this. Can you help me do this?
It's very apt that you say that because, as you know, like I work primarily with guys, and that whole first step is that when guys go into their 40s, go into their 50s, we don't want to, we're the ones that lead the family.
Yeah, we're the provider.
We don't want to ask for help, we're the provider, but then, okay, I want to get healthy, I'm going to go to the gym. And then they go to the gym and they don't notice any improvement because they're just done a few machines, don't know what they're doing necessarily. And even if they do know what they're doing, they're then waking up through the night for the toilet. They're then feeling groggy through the day. They're reacting to their family. They're tired. They're just not themselves.
Yeah.
And then, but reaching out, I find it so hard for guys, which is why I put so much content out, is that I'm here to speak to you, to help you, to reach out and ask for help. And I've been trying my best to be on social media, to be open. And I've been so surprised over the last few months where I've really been diving into men's health content. The amount of guys that have said that I've got signs of low testosterone, but my doctor's not helping me, erectile dysfunction, low moods, like just performance anxiety as well, all these things. Like, I'm a stranger. But like when you actually open yourself up for people to actually, and I've been opening myself up by sharing my vulnerabilities and asking for help myself, that people actually, they seem to trust you more.
Well, I had this conversation the other day with a client, not relating or asking me for advice, but just shared, he was sharing experience of then working with a psychotherapist of some stuff that for him through his life, but also relationships and that. And he was saying, I can't believe how beneficial it was, and that, going through it. And she says, and exactly what you just reminded me of saying, I'm speaking to a stranger about all these things. And I said, but there is something about speaking to a stranger.
Yeah.
Because there's no vested interest. It's confidential if this person is a professional. It's not like speaking to a mate who's likely to speak to a mate and speak to a mate. And then it gets, the worst thing is that gossip, and then it's professional. You do it properly, do it with someone who's got the skills. And so I think guys like it, that it's safe, but they're not used to the speaking in a group. We're a lot more private. We're like, so that one-on-one. And he said he was astounded how much better he had been and more clarity of his life and that. But he was astounded, and all I did was just talk to a stranger. I said, but there's something about that. But there is a shift. I think there's a lot more guys who have been more comfortable with talking, but I think they're not used to that concept of who do I talk to.
Yeah.
So it still becomes a little bit more of the private. So I think you get better results with someone who's not emotionally or, in a social skill linked.
Yeah.
So that's why you would always go see someone professionally, because they should be bound, even if you see them out socially, they should be bound with someone. I've had that at the golf club where someone's come up and said, oh, so-and-so, and it's totally different health rate. What's going on with that? And we're going, so I said, I can't divulge that. That's my client. I have patient confidentiality. Oh, yeah. Because we're in a social circle and they all talking socially, but that person's also a client of mine. You have to.
I've had it with working with husbands and wives, and
huge.
That I say to them look, you're going to say some things, and I'm not telling your husband, and he's going to say some things to me, and I'm not allowed to tell you unless you both agree at the start that we can share these things. But we need to have trust there. And it's not the friends, you don't trust your friends, it's that friends can joke about stuff, they're not bound by that profession.
But particularly for guys when it's a lot more personal.
Yeah.
you know, you've got that stigma, which is wrong, but you still got the stigma as what is it to be a man? You know, your manhood, your reputation is at sold as being a man. So when you're then able to do it professionally, and there's trust and there's professional boundaries, you can drop that shield a bit.
Yeah.
And you can express your vulnerability, and that's one of the things that I found with my leg. I was so thankful to the surgeon, and he was like, "Oh, geez, you know, you really." I said, "You don't realize how vulnerable I felt, because this injury, although you know it's going to repair, this has scrambled my whole work, my whole social circle, my whole thing. It's thrown me."
Yeah.
And I've had to be, and I felt very vulnerable, but I had to put faith in everyone, other people helping me. It's quite a thing when you don't do that regularly.
But also, I remember you put out a couple of posts on social media, and like you cried on one of the posts.
Yeah, well, that was my edited one.
Yeah, oh, really?
You didn't want to see the one before that.
But it's showing that vulnerability. People trust you more from that. I've had that with posts, like, and I didn't like.
I think also though, because also that element also professionalism, people get that. But you run the risk of that as a professional being not human.
Like a machine.
You couldn't possibly have health issues. You couldn't possibly have suffer from stress. You couldn't. And it's like most people, you know, we're human. We have issues. So someone's like, "Oh, it sounds strange. You having to do rehabilitation." That, yeah. And like, well, how did you end up, you know, injuring yourself? Well, because I've played all sorts of daft sports through my life, like everyone else.
It's
you know, we also have, you know, weaknesses. We also do daft things. We also have, you know, ill-spent youth catching up on you, and we think we're 20.
It's something that I've spoken about a lot with my own journey with health. Is that when I do podcasts with people, I'm like, "Look, ask me anything. I do not care. Ask me anything."
Yeah, I think it makes it real, and that's the key.
I talk about myself of growing up as a kid, and then like low confidence, losing my dad, being on steroids, to screwing up my health, to then having to use TRT, all that stuff, and like then also like talking about mental health things going on. I talk about my side of when we look at IVF. It's not my place to talk about my wife's side in public with it, but people are like, "Oh, you went through this stuff as well." Yeah, and that's why I'm placed to help people.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because there's within social media that there's a lot who have built up a reputation, but it's very fake.
Yeah.
And there's someone down the line, like anything in society, it's very, people get put up on a pedestal, but also people love it when they get chopped down from the pedestal. You see it with the celebs.
Yeah.
And however, then when you show your vulnerability, you also got to be aware that you're also professional. It's a very delicate balance.
You've got to have
getting
that balance.
That right.
So also you show your vulnerability, and then you get trolled again. And I'm like, well, these trolls are the people that need the content the most. It's funny when we see these things where I put a post up, I was talking about testosterone, I was talking about guys and how I wish guys would understand what low testosterone feels like more, so they could know they're going through it to get some help. I done it in my back garden. It was like November, and someone was like, "You look like you spent 6 months in the Antarctic." I'm like, "It's called Norfolk."
Yeah.
What would you expect?
We're not far away from that.
And then this guy's living in Vegas, and he's not exactly got a tan. And I'm like, "Why are you worrying about my tan?" There was another one where,
well, listen, if you went the other way and then got a spray tan and was orange,
like, I'm not going to use those as sunbeds. It's health stuff we're looking at. It's like there might be, like all that stuff. And then there was another one talking about, something about your hairline. It's like, so what? Who cares about your hairline? Like, these are the people without profile pictures that need your help. Another one was talking about, I was doing a reel in my car, just saying about, like I said, people coming into my DMs talking about low testosterone. I really am so grateful that you're opening up, and I don't take it for granted. Someone was like, "I can see it in your eyes, you're on high testosterone." I'm like, "What? No, that's having a 6-month-old daughter."
Yeah, exactly. I was just going to say.
And it's 7 a.m. in the morning. That's what those eyes are. It's called being real. I'm not going to put filters and stuff on. And
that's the negative side of the social, because people are very quick to be able to make assumptions, point pictures, give an opinion. But if they, in your situation, if people are then through messaging more one-on-one, that's where the real magic is happening. All that other stuff is just
I love it though because it helps your algorithm. They don't realise it. And there was someone saying, I put something on about if you're not working on your health as a dad, it's irresponsible. And this person was like, I just kept watching it thinking it was going to get better. It never did. I went, so why didn't you just scroll past?
Yeah.
Like literally, you just had to
You
scroll.
could just
scroll. Like you do not have to watch it. It's not aimed at you. And if you're not going to take it in, you probably need it, but it's not aimed at you.
and also that element. It's fine if it's not your content. If you can just scroll past.
Yes.
There's, some
Apparently
people.
someone sees 10,000 bits of content every day.
Wow.
Like you're going to get annoyed about my one piece, then scroll on. It's crazy. Yeah.
Well, and also that people have got either choose to have the time of I'm going to tell him, and you're going.
You're just boosting the post to other people, so you're better off not saying anything. Or if I want to wind them up a little bit more and get them commenting even more, but then you have people say
It's
"Please
just
don't
not the
stop.
platform for
Please
that
don't
kind
listen
of.
to the trolls. Please don't stop. I'm not stopping. I'm doubling down on content. I'm going to do more, and I'll do more of that same content. But it's showing that vulnerability, being real. When I look at my content, and you'll see it from the podcast that we do, people meet us in person. We're the same people.
Yeah.
You can't hold up a fake persona. And then
No, I think I can't. Also, I can't serve patients and communicate with them thinking, well, I've got to either portray that I know it all or I'm perfect, or sit there and thinking, they think that I've got everything all together and I'm, it's like, I said, I get adjusted regularly as well. Well, of course I do. I stand in front, I'm on my feet all day, lean over, or like with my leg. I'm not balanced at the moment. So, I'm aware that I'm overloading different structures. So, of course, it's even more important.
Yeah, I think.
Oh, yeah, well, that makes sense. It's like, we live and breathe like anyone else.
We had a conversation before, I think it was when I was debating on using ADHD meds at the start, when I got diagnosed with ADHD, and you're like, it's just a tool to use at a certain point, and it might help, it might not. I'm like, oh yeah. It doesn't make you less of a practitioner if you're using some of that, and it didn't really work. But I was wrestling with it so much. I remember you saying about it that it's just a tool there. And
Well, I think we get hooked up a bit on this is good and this is bad.
Yeah.
And it's like it can be either depending on how you use it.
Perception. Yeah.
Well, it's a tool. So a gun can kill someone, or can just sit there. It depends on how you use it.
Yeah.
So it is interesting, and I don't think there is too much of this. Like there's right or wrong, and there's so much grey. There's so much in between. There's so many other factors that come into it. And the other aspect, what you said with that I learn anything with my injury, is that one thing I did learn was that I'm meant to fly business class.
Oh, it's amazing, right?
So, because I had to have leg up, and it was a long flight, I wasn't allowed to fly unless I had to keep my leg up. So I wasn't originally, booked for business class, I'd have to say. But so I said to the surgeon, I said, well, I need a letter then, because I'm obviously then going to go business class. And he goes, yeah, well, that's how I want you to fly. I was like, okay. First class? He said, well, then that's pushing it a bit. But now I don't want to do long haul. I don't want to fly back to South Africa.
Yeah, this is the trouble. I was spoiled
class.
with it. Like I remember going to America a few times, and my clients would pay for business class. And then when I was like, I don't want to go to LA in economy. That's like 13 or 12-hour flight. I don't want that. And yeah, you get spoiled. And I remember I then pay more for the business class. But even now, if we're going a short flight, I want extra legroom. That's like the minimum, extra legroom in an aisle seat. But yeah, it's amazing. Like when you actually get to lay down and you don't remember any of the flight because you've been asleep, and your neck doesn't hurt.
You get asked when would you like to eat, rather than
you get proper cutlery,
chicken or meat.
Real food. Yeah.
No, it was very good, and I must say, I know there are other airlines out there, but hands up to Emirates, because I had assisted travel, so I was the annoying one pushed to a wheelchair to the front of the queue, fast tracked through all this, but they were fantastic. And again, just having to be going, can you get my crutches? I want to go to the loo. Can you do this? And they were like, can I get you anything else? Can I get you that? But yeah, it was very nice. And Emirates have just upgraded most of their furnishings in there. So they were brand spanking new, and it was like, wow. I don't normally eat on the plane overnight. I eat at the airport, and then on the plane I just go to sleep. I was look, I've got a menu. I've got.
Yeah. What do you want?
I kept sending photos to family, and like, what do you? And then my wife she said, it's like 4:30 in the morning. I said, not where I am. I don't know what time it is, but I'm having steak and beans.
It's like you fly back and you're like this, like taking photos of your feet.
And I was like, so I said to a client the other day, I said, I've come to the realization, if I had a choice between, you won a lottery, but you could only spend your money on update your car and your house and all your, your day-to-day living, or you stay with what you've got, but you can now travel, but you have to travel business class. I'm like, I'm happy with what I've got. Yeah. I'm now traveling the world business class for the rest of my life.
I'd actually enjoy flying all the time.
I'm in. I said, I'll take that.
Yeah.
If like for like, if it worked out the same amount, I'm like, sign me up. I'm going traveling business class. That's how I'm designed. I'm supposed to travel like that.
I think now
I'm not supposed to pay that.
Yeah, I don't want to pay that.
I'm supposed to travel that.
But I've had free upgrades before, which is good, because when you travel on your own and they want someone to go from premium economy to business, they'll do it more often. But
so do you say that you're available for that?
Yeah.
You go, any chance of?
I always ask about it. I went to Belfast in November. I was so stressed, and it was the first time I'd travelled on my own since I was diagnosed with autism. Now, bearing in mind, I've spoke around the world and travelled multiple countries, like Colombia, without even knowing the language, like all these things. And then you get that diagnosis and so forth. But I was really worried about travelling. And for some reason, I hate that security. Absolutely hate the security.
Yeah,
but at Stansted, they've actually got assisted security. So you go in, you've got your lanyard on, and I don't know, like, why is it not that security is nice all the time? You go there and
they can make it that way.
They can make it nice. Okay, you're not getting the footfall there, but actually just calmed me down so much. You still go through to the same people, but it just calmed me down, and that was really, really nice to have. So now I've seen that, I wouldn't mind flying on.
I've done short haul, but it was over 5 years or so since I've gone through Stansted. So we just got into the beauty of going from Norwich most of the time, the last couple of years. And I was flying by myself, so I said, everyone are talking about the security checks. I'm like, I'm okay with crowds now. I just want to get through. Yeah. So I said, unfortunately, you've got to pay for the privilege. So I paid for the fast track.
Yeah.
And I walked past. Now my wife doesn't do crowds. She's very nervous with. Yeah. And I walked through. It was like a Springbok rugby training camp. There was just hundreds of people scrummaging through these lines, and I walked through and I went, why is it like that? It's horrible. Flying is not nice.
No,
and I like flying. I'm quite happy in a plane. I like to get my license. But it's not a pleasurable experience anymore.
No. Anyway,
it's a scrum.
We've digressed.
Yeah.
It's not really been about health at all, but we have been talking about it. So
game plan this year for you?
Game plan is I'm spreading as much information about men's health.
Good.
And I'm on a mission. There's been too many people I know that have lost their life that could have been prevented, or suicide that could have been prevented if we'd have told them there was a platform to talk at. And getting into my 40s, which may be this year.
Whippersnapper.
It's very much that I want people to know that they can still improve their health. When we get into our 40s, and you look at people you went to school with, you can tell who has looked after their health. And it doesn't have to be that you become a dad.
That's very, very true. Because being in 53 now, I see with guys I was at school, the WhatsApp group, and suddenly a picture comes up and you go, geez, who's that old? Yeah. Who's that old man? And others who don't. So you're 100% there. Well, I did with when I was off, I did quite a bit of courses and work with a couple of kids. Obviously, we have a focus in our practice with family care and kids. So I've done some stuff, particularly with kids development, and that a lot of people are aware of the getting babies checked. They're not that 3 to 15-year-old, the developmental side and that. So that's going to be a lot of our focus and that. So we've got to now I'm back. I've had 3 months without adjusting people, and I didn't like it. It was a bit like coming back, and I now know how the three bears felt with Goldilocks in their house. So healthy year and a lot of focus with kids and the kids as well as babies, but we want to track their kids development side of things. So that's what we're going to be talking about and focusing through the year. So if you want to join us as always and follow our ride, two real guys just trying to do their best.
More chatting and call it a podcast.
Yeah, and then we look forward to providing as much of hopefully enjoyable content, a little bit of laughs along the way, not too much talking about football at the moment, which is happy.
I've done a couple of reels talking about stress, and then I bring up being a United fan that lives in Norwich, and I'm like, no, let's not talk about that.
Yeah, so enjoy us, Happy New Year, and thanks for following, and we look forward to catching you up soon rather than later, because it's been far too long since we've touched base.
Take care, guys.
See you then.